My life just got thrown into a massive dark hole, and I've been sort of kidnapped in a sense where I feel like there's been a mass sort of demonizing me down in East, like Christchurch, of my life. Like for almost 10 years, I got kidnapped down there. I was not aware, so I didn't know to stand up for myself. I didn't know completely the full extent of what had happened. I think it is something to do with Epstein. It is something to do with MAGA. It is something to do with um, some sort of like foreign government agency thing. Is it Israel? Some sort of intelligence operation that was going on there to spy and find out a lot of information. And for me, it just started off like it felt like a crime. And I thought it was I thought it was identity theft, but I also thought it was I didn't know I didn't actually have any awareness that it had so much power behind the operation. I thought it was just a catty girl getting pissed off at me for talking to her boyfriend or something. The thing is at that period of my time, they were breaking up, and I was just visiting, playing chess. I wasn't with him or anything. I was just talking to him about my own problems. It had nothing to do with them or anything. I was really just like talking about how money was being stolen out of my home, and how just things like that. Playing chess. That's all that happened. And then I realized that like she called up like very angry at me, and I realized that like that she thought that they were in such a serious relationship so fast, which shocked me. And then I was just thinking, he must like make women crazy, like, because the thing is I'm not as crazy about him as people think. Like, I actually was with him for a long term, but in my defense, even back to when I dated my other exes, like I after I broke up, I went back to them like to just have like just connect, because it was kind of like you finished your relationship and you're in this weird in between stage of like not really wanting to be with anyone, but you don't want to start a new relationship and go through all that crap again. But then it's kind of like just going back to somebody to connect to them, because you don't it's just easier to like hook up with your ex-boyfriend than try and find a new boyfriend and start all this emotional roller coaster again, until you're really like over. It's not like that you're not over your past relationship, but until you're over like some of the problems that were in it that are going to block you from actually opening up genuinely to a new person. As I don't really like to bring my baggage into my next relationship. I would like to take time out every time I break up with somebody. I've always kind of broken up with somebody and taken time out. But I'm just saying, in my defense, it's not obsession. Like, I've usually gone back to the person for comfort or something like this after I've broken up. I've had genuine friends that were very caring in my past too about these times that, when I had a breakup or something. Like Adrian, for instance, is somebody that turned up. I can't remember who I broke up with, but he took me on a massive road trip all around Dunedin and kept taking me to Dunedin and meeting his sister. And yeah, we were in the same sort of field of photography, graphic design, and web design. So we all had things to talk about, and it was awesome. This situation's strange because it's horrific violence, and yet I'm dehumanized to the point where it's like I don't matter, and I don't, they make out that my mental health is the problem, but the thing is if you are violated and degraded to such a point where you feel worthless, it makes you want to kill yourself, because It's not, I don't want to live with those scars. For me, I put a lot of time into healing my life. So for me, to make me tainted, to me, is a crime, because it's like pissing on somebody's work. That's how it feels. It feels like I spent 15 years discovering the meaning of unlocking my heart and soul and feeling free in my own body and elevating my life and being in a higher consciousness, to being devalued, degraded, and then to find out the malice of the situation to keep all the friendships in a group. They basically started these networks where they sit and admire each other and share compliments and share like ideas and wealth, but which is what I do in all of my relationships. But they basically bought all of my relationships, and the difference was, is in that case they basically were tainting my name and targeting me, and a lot of John and his network were really making a lot of YouTube videos, all these Tongans, that I was a dog in the whare, I was a dog in the house, I was dog this, I was dog that. And him and Steve were like marketing me as a donkey, and it was like on his wall in the ward. And I didn't. That's when I realized that he was. At once I did, because I didn't notice these stickers on his jaw, and then when I did, then it's when I started to not really like him anymore. And he gave me a 4-leaf clover, and I put it in a book, and he just wrote something in it, like some, I can't remember what he wrote, some sort of romantic words. And then when he left the ward, I gave it to him, and he just said, "Oh, I'm really hurt that you're giving this to me. I found that and I wanted you to have it." And I was like, "Yeah, have it, man. Like, I'm not going to see you again, and this is kind of weird. Look." Um, so he took it with him. And then suddenly this other girl's lucky. But that's actually what happened. We were walking and found a 4-leaf clover on our walk. Um, my life just got hijacked by my ex. I think he just used me to make a business and to create luck and happiness and wealth, him and his girlfriend, and basically by tarnishing my reputation. And then when I went down there to fix it, I felt like I just got told that they had really done a lot of racism in Christchurch, like a lot of racial undertones of the conversations they were having. I think the conversations were really brainwashing people to look at me in a negative light, and very much warping and painting me as such a character that was completely different. I was always a self-sufficient person, and I just got on with my own life, and my life was about, I was kind of like a nurse, and I liked it. It made me feel independent, and it made me feel confident about my life. And they just, the thing is, the hypocrisy is they have purposely made me feel insecure about my life. This French and purposely the other women, they've all sat there and purposely made me insecure. How they've like devalued and sabotaged me was, my face got ruined. There was a massive campaign in Christchurch about me being very ugly and Mr. Bean, and to not really value me as a human being at all. Like, there was no mercy. It's not like, oh, you're a victim of a crime that disfigured you and we get to talk to you and see that you survived. It was a gaslighting frenzy of that never happened, and they were just painting me as a dull bludger, as they were painting themselves and these other groups of people to do with, like India old friends and his other ex-girlfriends, all went down there and just went on these massive campaigns. I was somebody else. When I realised that I was actually being killed by cops was when I realised, after I'd walked away from that guy that was setting me up for violence, this John, I realised that there was a lot of memes about the cops killing me. Um, and to address the sandwich, um, It's just so it's victimizing me and victimizing me and victimizing me, which is a sign of gender violence. And it's a case of like political violence as well, and it's a case to silence me and to dehumanize me in front of the group. So is this dog. So I think I think men in patriarch society are doing that kind of stuff so that I don't have any way to have recognition or stand up as a woman, like in my field of work, and have respect. So the thing is it's really not my fault how it happened. They actually worked to destabilize my name and my life. Like, for example, I actually heard some of the forums and it was very much painting me as somebody I wasn't. It was a whole lot of chats like making me look like I overstay my welcome at people's homes. Nobody wants cozy relationships with me. I'm just such a drag to have around and I never leave and I overstay my welcome. All these kind of negative chats that were really painting me in such a horrible way where I don't feel like any of my relationships were like that before. I think most of the time when I've had relationships and go to people's homes, I've shared things. Like I may buy some sort of artesian bread or like go out and buy them coffee or whatever, like to hang out. I don't actually just take and take and take. I've never really been that kind of person, but I always had a genuine, um, I just genuinely was sort of like really generous. And I think other people have always been just generous to me. And it was just some sort of, I never really like analyzed it till now, like because they're making me feel like I'm mooch and all these kind of really dark undertones to demonize me and make me look like I'm malicious and malevolent, but I wasn't. I very much like I had to remind this old man because his family kept demonizing me, and I was like, "Did I not leave you like really expensive oil and really expensive shampoo and this and that? Because you'd stay at places and they'd give you this stuff." So it's kind of like he was like, "Yeah, okay, yeah, you have actually left that," and then I was like, and I also would leave you, um, like I always used to cook and all these kind of things, but they were teaching him to devalue me. They were teaching him to really criticize my clothing every day, that I don't dress like a woman and I don't have a standard of my dress. I dress too masculine. Um, they also were devaluing me about my ex, and the thing that I heard was that to kind of erase that my belief systems of being an empress, that they had some pub and had caused all this violence by stripping me off naked next to these women that were very skinny and had like very slim bodies, and they were very devaluing my body. And then because she didn't want anybody to be attracted to me or like me, they went a step further and went down to my vaginal area, and I just mutilated. It has been mutilated, and that's the unfair situation. Is that not only did they devalue me and my body after I've had heavy metal toxicity, which goes straight into your tissues, and it causes your tissues to basically sag. There is documentation about it because I was reading about it, and these men are trying very hard to make me look very devalued and unattractive and all these kind of things, and it's very hard for me because it's kind of like they're really torturing me as a person. It's like 1 minute I was a young woman, next minute they aged me, and then they stopped any compassion and they stopped me being able to communicate to people, and they just basically made me from this young, innocent, sweetheart to that was very empathetic and very genuine to just being this demon of society. Like, and that's what they do in these cults. They find a lamb and they sacrifice it and keep harvesting and harvesting off this person's energy, or an animal. They like, I'm just one of the sheeps or the goats that they've slaughtered, and just keep sacrificing me for all the goods that they can gain off my life. And they give people like sell you off like a slave and give you as a gift. So, and I think they get a lot of money out of it and they know about it. So they find, I think I'm a victim of some sort of group of men that kill girls that are starseeds. So I was a very, very innocent girl that was very in tune with nature and the purity of the the downloads I'd get from source. And I think for some reason that some evil group tried to twist and manipulate me into the public to be the like most demonic evil woman, and I've got the most jealous petty nature, and that I'm very dark and cruel, and I'm so jealous of these innocent young girls. And it's like, but actually they're really erasing that I was actually an innocent girl, that I got victimized by men. They've violently ruined my vagina, and they've done it twice. Because and it's like, to hear that they were blowtorching, like there's some books that have been written about it, and that they were even writing that John and Poppy went into the media and killed me off like as a deer, and that they've like made me the jury and like over the whole land, and have just disrespected me and disrespected me and disrespected me and disrespected me and put me. So if you can understand a real innocent woman just that works on her goals, that doesn't ever just have sex and is just a wholesome kind of woman that just went out hiking every day. I mean, I'm a lot like my sisters. So to just suddenly all these men devaluing me, saying they never loved me, I was never worth anything, I'm just a root, and having all the police station brutally shame me, and then having these pubs humiliating me. And so they've gone on this thing devaluing me all over the country. And they've done it in Australia too, and it's really heartbreaking. It's a lot of emotional pain to carry, and then to find out the final nail in the coffin. I could see that they were like wrapping my ex, so they were trying to wrap me up as somebody in some dark tunnel, that I'm paranoid schizophrenic and I'm very like evil, and they're the good ones, and I was very dark and like very, I don't know, a very twisted kind of person, and I never had problems emotionally, or my energy was really clean. Like everything about my life had been really cleaned up. Like I didn't have any issues at all. And then they just went on this thing after ruining me, my appearance, that I had a lot of internal issues and I was very mentally deranged. And then due to despair and being bullied, and due to being really upset and very, very shamed, it's like you start reaching out to people but then they just put them all into a group to raise admiration between each other of the members, and they just keep outcasting me and keeping me in this dirty tunnel that I'm dog shit, and all this massive blacklisting that I'm bad to all these companies, demonizing me on the social media. And it's so, I was just kind of like one woman, innocent, going after my civil rights, reading my laws, trying to get asylum, trying to stand up for my rights. And I've had solid experiences in a career to do with caregiving and to do with nannying, all these sort of things. And I think there's a whole lot of workmates like really painting me in a dark, negative light. And then to find out that my ex and the landlord and all these 21 men came and raped me as some sort of like ritualistic abuse to remove me from the group and the table and to put me into lower class. And they just all started devaluing me, I think, and spitting at me and saying nasty words like, just tortured. They said, the article said I was tortured with like bars of oil, and like that they were high quality oil, I think. And I just think it's very unfair. It's like you've taken away my youth in like 3 years, just completely ruined it and really demonized my mind and made me look like I'm mentally deranged. And then just really, instead of anybody humanly knowing me as a person, they're just looking me at flesh that's been tainted and ruined through imperfection, through chemicals and all these cruel, barbaric ways. But nobody has that humanity connection to me because they're just sitting there laughing that I'm low quality in these massive, like, racist groups. And it's just basically a mass blackballing on a huge scale for so long and not giving me any sympathy. Just really demonizing me and really excluding me in social groups wherever I go. It's like they were really targeting like my work bosses as well all over Australia. Like they were coming in and just basically advertising themselves as lovers and good looking girls every time I went into a new job, and they would just be talking to them on chats. And it became unbearable. I started getting angry, and this Al kept taking photography that she's a high class model and I was very ugly. And it was kind of like, I never got a break. Like this went on and on and on. And then so I started, I was asking everybody for a job. So I wanted to get out of this problematic situation, and they were harassing me and gang hazing. And it takes away your peace, and it takes away your peace of mind. The charity all locked out, and they just started bullying me wherever I went. And it was targeted harassment until you're so destabilized. You know, it just, in the end, it just made me not move, because I was somebody that always just got up and did something, even if it was nothing spectacular. If it was just like cleaning or something, I'd just spend all day cleaning to get myself moving and to get my life feeling like I'm moving forward anyway, because it's like my choices have been limited. That's what people are ignorant about. I don't have the same choices anymore because they've really locked me out of being abundant. They've locked it because every time I was failing or they'd blocked a path for me, I just opened a new opportunity for myself, and then they'd block it again with their power. They'd just send more women in and take over that for me. So it was very difficult because I just couldn't move forward. And it wasn't my fault. They were actively somehow pulling strings behind the scenes and stopping me from getting anywhere. One instance was when I had a job interview at 2 Degrees, and like the other women were in the building with me, like the tutors at the call centre. Suddenly all the networks went down and I couldn't get into my interview online. It's a call centre, it's a massive office with this call centre set up, and it never goes down. It just seems like all these things were really coincidental, like causing me endless amount of suffering and problems that are just nobody else have these insane amount of problems. Like I've never had these problems either. So you want a job, you just start writing down what you want and start going after what you want and getting people involved that can help you in that direction. So for me, it's I hadn't been in work for 3 years because my face was disfigured. So I came back and started calling recruitment agencies and said, how do I deal with this? I said, my face got ruined and I want to go back to work and I've got all these skills. And so they derived plans to get me back into work. But behind my back, these people in fake HR companies and all these scammers just were like making me look bad to everybody. Like making me look like I'm bad at work and all these kind of things. I don't actually know what he's filming on my body gear all these years. I don't know. But you can imagine that I'm not living in the highest level of my own timeline with this kind of oppression, with this ostracizing, and with my face being disfigured. I mean, that really wounded me, my face. And they're saying I've got to grow up. And it's like, you don't just get over that. You don't just like ignore somebody that went through all that horrific pain and say, get over it, and bully her consistently for 10 years. Like that's all I've had. And it's like, I feel very like they want to harm me and maliciously make me tortured, because there's no way a group of 21 men from this French group trafficking would come together and rape somebody that you're calling a dog every day. Do you know what I mean? This is a purpose to just destroy and manipulate the worth of somebody else, when it's actually victimizing somebody that didn't want the attention. I'm quite a shy person, and I was gentle. I didn't have issues. I'm pretty sure I never really got angry until Kylie started like sort of saying stuff to me, and then I saw all of these texts that she was like running some bus raping me. And that's when I went a bit psycho all the time. And it's like they keep going on that I'm racist, but I'm not. I feel like that woman was very fake and racist to me, like very much bringing me. I think all of those women, they keep putting like billions of photos on Flickr, billions of photos on Facebook, billions of chat photos, billions of like YouTube videos that I'm a dog. It's like, how do you go from having a life full of peace and harmony? I didn't have this much problems in Australia either, while they were actually going behind my back in Australia, damaging my reputation with a toilet video and basically a group of women. That was very, very slow. It didn't just happen overnight. They slowly were going to different groups of people and invading me as Black Diamond fillies or whatever. And it just ended up escalating to this massive, like, hate all over the world. But it didn't, people were taught hate, right? And I just feel like every step of my journey that I tried to change and have a career, these women were taking it over. So they were watching me on cameras, they were watching me on my telephone, they were watching my data, they do have body cameras on me, and it is some connection to some prostitution network because, you know, in Sweden and Manukau, I've had some very weird, eerie kind of situations of men coming up to me, kind of propositioning me, and I don't think I was dressed in any way that made me look sexual, and I don't think I look in any way available for sex, and I don't think I look like drop dead gorgeous or anything that I'm, you know, that I'm looking for attention in any way. I just think I looked like I was just some, I just thought I just looked like me, but just aged from abuse. Basically, the neurotoxins and pesticides, I mean, they just keep cheating me out of my own youth and out of my character, because I've even written that I'm getting character assassination in my asylum and all these things, and it's like they keep saying I'm a scammer, but if you read my doctor's notes and things, it actually, they also have a lot of scamming on it too. So there's a lot of things that were going on that is hypocrisy. It kind of seems like they keep copying the things that I do, and then all of my creative endeavors, they copied everything about my life, but then went into courses, and it's a situation of unfair treatment, because whatever I want to do, they are allowed to invest money into their culture and their lives to do this, but I'm not allowed. I'm being devalued every day for 7 years, and I'm asking, what is the regime actually about? Just erasing me from a whole culture of friends and family, or what? Because nobody has this kind of, and they're trapping me in this dark hole tunnel that I'm some dark, negative, toxic energy, but I wasn't. Even when I am a negative person, all I do is sit at home and cook and like go and like watch TV. That's me negative. So I'm only doing that because I'm limited. My emails are blocked. But for me to be gang raped on that scale, and then it's like I'm going from one day, that's what's traumatic, is one day I'm being creative and in control of my life. The next day they took away my own power, devalued me and disempowered me at some court case that is kept in the dark. And they just kept destroying my life, like, and have just sexually assaulted me all this time and been blacking me out. So I don't know the full extent of what's going on, and I've had stuff happen to my vagina, like it's been completely ruined and it's been tampered with, and they're injecting it and they're making it like full. I think they just want me dirty. Like they want that innocent girl completely ruined. They don't want me to find love anymore, so they're like tarnishing my reputation with men. They don't want me to have any career, so they've gone out and just really like made out everybody else has this higher mind and higher state of reality, and I've got this lower life reality, but I didn't. I do. I do have a state of consciousness that is about higher living, and that's what was very hard to me, is they putting me straight back on the ground and making me fight people that are gangsters and have a completely different belief system and have a completely different reality and see me as some sort of snooty girl that doesn't deserve to be where I am in life because I've been on the benefit or something like this, and have really been very violent with me. And I also cannot understand where they're coming from, because for me, they come from a world of drug trafficking and being full of ego and one-upping each other and sort of backbiting and putting each other down to kind of make sure they're in charge, or some sort of like system of keeping people down and hated and devalued type thing. And it's not from me. Like, I was around people that had been successful and they were in a higher state of their mind and reality, and that's where I was at. So even like my mind was always thinking of the future and my future dreams and planning that and always going for it. But you can't when people are cheating on me and filming me, putting eye gear on me to film it so that they can take credit for everything while prostituting me. It's like completely destroying my life, like completely making me somebody completely different. And then because they're watching me do things like wash dishes or go to the toilet in the forest or like things like this, like, or I don't even know how many years they have been doing this eye camera thing, but it's very, very scary, because it means that they've done something like this so that they can find out my passcodes and things like this to bank accounts. Do you know what I mean? It's like a real invasive, violent thing where it made me very suicidal. And the rape, because it's a year ago, 2 years ago, I was Alex George. I changed my name because I was totally focused on work. I didn't even care about men, to be honest. I just, all I wanted to do was go back to work. And all I've had is this oppression and racism from these groups saying I'm not good enough for work. And it's like, but nobody else has this disrespect. It's like they sit there and elevate absolutely everybody in the whole universe but me. They keep bashing me and putting me down, and I want to know why. I have to be so angry all the time, like to have a right to exist. Like, I shouldn't have to. And it's, I've read in other books, if you take somebody's free will away, it breeds apathy and anger and hostility, and also the same as racism. It creates hostility and a lot of anger, and it does. I've never been an angry person in my life. The rape really set me off. Like, it really made me very angry that my boundaries have been invaded, because I wouldn't do that. I don't like non-consensual sex. It's not right. I think if you want to be part of that reality, that's fine, but don't push somebody that's not in that kind of dimension to push them to do that. The fact is that they've ruined my vagina and stretched it right out to make it look like I have sex with all these men. And it's like, why would they put me in a fraternity and have billions of men have sex with me anyway? Like, if they really think I'm a dog, why am I being devalued with all this sexual abuse by men they're putting into real high positions? Like, men that I don't really believe are about a higher consciousness. Like, I don't think James is, to be honest. So I'm no offense. I just think he's about sport. Like, I just don't think he's about his high consciousness at all. And the other one, I don't think he is about his higher consciousness either. I think he is about intellectual pursuits. I think he is completely cerebral and very cut off from his own heart and his energy of his heart. So I don't really believe he has a consciousness in a sense that I do. But I am being treated like I am the lowlife. And I'm just saying my consciousness is very much on lofty ideals before. But when you're on survival, it changes you. They just changed me into being into this. So one minute I just was working away peacefully, not causing problems, and constantly living in my own dream reality, trying to constantly manifest my life to come into a better state by keeping positive while I'm going through different works that I didn't want to do, or maybe maybe when I was caregiving, I didn't completely like the person that I was with, because I haven't liked all of them, but most of them I do. So sometimes it's like you do the action, but my mind was always elsewhere. It's always focused on the future or what I wanted to bring to my life to make it more peaceful. And it's like, it should be, I shouldn't have to defend my brain or what I think or what makes me happy anyway. So, anyway, what happened was that I just got devalued to that point and not given away to have any support. So it was just a one-sided war where they just devalued me consistently and then socially discriminated and outed me and a massive scapegoating, and then they sexually assaulted me like a massive gang hazing. And then the final nail in the coffin was when the black family like basically took away all the care and have had me sexually devalued and keeping this massive apartheid of crying and emotions and being deep when that is my actual identity, and saying that I don't have enough quality of my brain in my life. And it's like, to get to that higher state of consciousness, though, you do have to have other higher beings around you. You can't just be around negativity all the time. But they're blaming me for the negativity, but it's kind of like, for all the crimes that I've had and suffered, and all the men devaluing me, that I was a dog and I'm unworthy and I'm fucking ugly, which has happened for 7 years. Men have very devalued me. How are you meant to, where's my femininity? Because you're trying to say that I'm not a feminine woman now. And it's kind of like, it's not only did I lose you've wounded my sense of self, because I just used to be a really, really innocent face and I felt like, I used to do lovely things for people. I just came from that kind of life. Like, maybe it's a small town thing. I just didn't have a malicious kind of thing in my life, in my body. I didn't have, and people that ended up being sadistic to me, I just kind of ended up walking away. Or, I just don't think I really had heaps of scars. And I had some emotional scars, but I didn't have all these scars that they're enforcing onto my life, and all this tainting me and tarring me and destroying me. And it's the sexual violence. I can't get over it. Like, I just cannot get over why they're selling me off as a prostitute. It really upsets me, because it's kind of like you're just spitting in the face of somebody that just spent all those years making sure they weren't a slut, making sure that I would just have a pure life and a pure heart, and you've decided that all these prostitutes get to be acting like they're pure and I have to be defiled. And it's like, I didn't have to be wrecked. Why did you come after me to wreck my life?